guys, and welcome to another episode of English with Jest. Last time, we discussed about group of words which we call phrases, and in particular, we had prepositional phrases. For today's lesson, I'll be helping you out with clauses and its type. So if you want to learn more, just keep on watching. Let us now proceed to our lesson. Let us now begin our lesson on dependent and independent clause. To start with, let us have first a definition of a clause. A clause is a group of related words and it has subject and predicate. There are two types of clauses. One is independent clause. An independent clause can stand alone as a sentence, which means it has both subject and verb and expresses a complete idea. For example, we walked to the mall. In this sentence, we have our subject, we, and our verb, walk. This sentence expresses a complete thought and can stand alone, which makes it an independent clause. So all simple sentences can be considered as independent clause. The second one is what we call dependent clause. A dependent clause cannot stand alone as a sentence, though it still has a subject and a predicate. For example, when the cake is done baking. In this one, we still have our subject, which is cake, and our verb is. However, this clause does not express a complete idea or thought and cannot stand on its own, which makes it a dependent clause. So how do we connect dependent and independent clauses? We use coordinating conjunctions to connect words at the beginning of an independent clause. So what are these independent clause markers? We have the acronym FANVOICE or the conjunctions FANVOICE, which are for, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. When a second independent clause in a sentence begins with a coordinating conjunction, a comma is needed before the coordinating conjunction. For example, Jim studied in the cafeteria for his chemistry quiz, but it was hard to concentrate because of the noise. Our first independent clause is Jim studied in the cafeteria for chemistry quiz. Our second independent clause is it was hard to concentrate because of the noise. So we connected the two independent clauses with the use of the conjunction but. So what are the independent marker words? Some common independent marker words are also, consequently, furthermore, however, moreover, nevertheless, and therefore. An independent marker word is a connecting word used at the beginning of an independent clause. These words can always begin a sentence that can stand alone. When the second independent clause in a sentence has an independent marker word, a semicolon is needed before the independent marker word. How about a dependent marker word? These are words added to the beginning of an independent clause that makes it into a dependent clause. For example, when Jim studied in the sweet shop for his chemistry quiz, it was very noisy. So what is our independent clause in this sentence? We have, it was very noisy. Our dependent clause is when Jim studied in the sweet shop for his chemistry quiz. And our marker is the word when. Some common dependent clue words are after, although, as if, because, before, even if, even though, if, in order to, since, though, unless, until, whatever, when, whenever, whether, and while. Let us have now our quiz time. For our first exercise, the doctor told Ken to lose weight and exercise vigorously for 45 minutes a day. Letter A. This sentence has two independent clauses. Letter B. This sentence has no independent clauses. C. This sentence has one independent clause. The correct answer: this sentence has one independent clause. So why is this the answer? The end in this sentence is connecting two infinitives and not two clauses. There is only one subject-verb relationship in the sentence doctor told. So in this one, we only have one complete idea or sentence. Our subject is doctor and our verb is told, which makes it only one independent clause. Let's answer our exercise number 2. The doctor was worried that Anne was putting on too much weight. Letter A. The section in blue is an independent clause. Letter B. The independent clause is the doctor was worried. Letter C. This sentence has no independent clause. Take a look at our sentence for sentence number 2. The correct answer is letter B. The independent clause is the doctor was worried. That Anne was putting on too much weight cannot stand by itself because of the subordinating word or dependent marker that. The doctor was worried, however, is the independent clause because it expresses a complete idea and it has both the subject, which is the doctor, and our verb was in this sentence. Let us have number 3. Tin has a hard time sticking to a diet. She really loves any kinds of sweets. Letter A. This sentence has two independent clauses. Letter B. This sentence has one independent clause. Letter C. This sentence has no independent clauses. Take a look at our sentence. Our answer for number 3 is letter A. This sentence has two independent clauses. The sentence has two independent clauses connected by only a semicolon. So on either side of the semicolon, you can see a clause that could stand by itself as its own sentence. But the two clauses are nicely balanced that can fit into the same sentence in this way. So what's our first independent clause? Tin has a hard time sticking to a diet. It has a complete idea with a subject, which is tin, and a verb, which is has. Our second independent clause is she really loves any kinds of sweets. It has a subject, which is she, and a verb, which is loves. Let us have now number 4. In fact, the last time she tried to lose weight, she ended up actually gaining weight. Letter A. She ended up actually gaining weight is the only independent clause. Letter B. The section in red is the independent clause. Letter C. This sentence has two independent clauses. Our answer? Letter A. She ended up actually gaining weight is the only independent clause. She tried to lose weight is actually a dependent clause, but the subordinating word or dependent marker that has been left out was in the sentence. The independent clause begins with he ended up. For number 5, Miss Bonggiorno is starting to make a difference, though, and Charlie is starting to make some progress. Letter A, the sentence has one independent clause. Letter B, the clause following though is a dependent clause. Or letter C, the sentence has two independent clauses. For number 5, our correct answer is letter C. This sentence has two independent clauses. It has two independent clauses connected by the coordinating conjunction and. The word though is not acting as a dependent word in this sentence because it is part of the sentence. We visited a museum when we went to Spain. Identify the independent clause. Letter A, when we went to Spain. Letter B, we visited. Letter C, we visited the museum. Or letter D, to Spain. The answer for number 6 is we visited the museum is our independent clause. When we went to Spain is a dependent clause in this sentence. We visited the museum is the independent clause because it contains the subject and verb and conveys the complete idea. Let us have now number 7. When I looked through binoculars, I saw they were seals. Identify the dependent clause. Letter A, I looked. Letter B, I saw they were seals. Letter C, when I looked through binoculars. Or letter D, I saw. Our answer for number 7 is letter C. When I look through binoculars is a dependent clause because it has the subject and verb but doesn't convey the complete idea, and it has the independent or the dependent clause marker, which is the word when. Let us have number 8. Since I saw them, I have read more about seals. Identify the dependent clause. Letter A, I have read. Letter B, about seals. Letter C, since I saw them. Or letter D, I have read more about seals. The correct answer for number 8 is since I saw them. The dependent clause in the sentence is since I saw them because it has the subject and the verb, but the idea seems to be incomplete because of the dependent clause indicator or marker, which is the word since. Our independent clause in this sentence is I have read more about seals, which has a complete idea with the subject I and our verb have read. Let's have now number 9. The water seemed even colder because our skin was hot. Identify the dependent clause. Letter A, seemed. Letter B, the water seemed even colder. Letter C, our skin. Or letter D, because our skin was hot. The answer to number 9 is because our skin was hot. The dependent clause in this sentence is because our skin was hot. It has the subject and the verb. However, the idea seems to be incomplete because of the marker indicator, which is the word because. The water seemed even colder is our independent clause, which conveys the complete idea with the subject water and verb seemed. Let's have now the last number 10. Although the sun was warm, I shivered with cold. Identify the independent clause. Letter A, although the sun. Letter B, although the sun was warm. Letter C, I shivered. Or letter D, I shivered with cold. The correct answer for number 10 is letter D, I shivered with cold. In this sentence, the independent clause is I shivered with cold because it contains the subject, which is I, and the verb, which is shivered. And the idea is already complete. While although the sun was warm is what we call dependent clause. It has our dependent clause marker, which is the word although. And that is the end of our lesson about dependent and independent clause. I hope that you learned something for today's lesson, and I'll see you again on our next episode of English with Jazz. Thank you and goodbye.